Hmm. We are discussing about terrace garden. Salient features of terrace garden. The main theme of the terrace garden is to get fresh vegetables and at a reasonable cost. Fresh vegetables day to day, daily, and we can pass the time. It is a very good habit. Gardening is a good habit, and getting the vegetables. Many of the people in cities they are not having vacant place for producing vegetables, but they will be having some free terrace, which they can utilize for garden. So many of the people in cities they are having beautiful terrace. So, but without soil. At this moment, what we are thinking, we have to maintain terrace garden. In terrace garden, the main problems is too much heat on terrace. Except in rainy season, rest of the seasons will receive very high temperatures. It will be exposed to high temperatures. So whatever we put soil in pots, easily evaporating. When we put water in morning, evening it will be dried. So we have to save the water. The mixture, potting mixture should be like that. It should retain some amount of water, at least. If we put some water, at least it should retain that water up to evening. That much water holding capacity should be there. In this context, what we are going to do is we have to prepare a mixture like that. The contents inside the potting mixture should retain some moisture. So we are using coco peat. High organic content will allow the pot to retain some amount of water. So we are using coco peat to retain moisture, water, and we can also use some organic compounds, dried leaves, and any other organic compounds, compost, FOM, normal FOM. It will retain some quantity of water. So in preparing potting mixtures, we have to keep in this mind to retain more amount of water. So definitely we have to go high amount of organic matter. Generally, many of the people are using this 1:1:1 mixture. Many of the people in terrace garden and even tissue culture, after post tissue culture, they are using this mixture 1:1:1. One part means volume basis. Suppose one bucket coco peat, one bucket vermicompost, one bucket garden soil, very good soil. You can maintain this. This is one type of mixture, and even sometimes we are feeling this is coco peat is costly, so we can reduce this quantity by preparing 1:1:2, means two parts soil and one part coco peat and one part vermicompost. And another thing is, even we can replace this coco peat with some dried leaves. Dried leaves we can maintain in the same ratio. We can powder the dried leaves and partially we should decompose it, so that when we mix, this mixture should not create temperature. If it creates a temperature and bacterial action, then it will affect the plant roots and plant may die. So previously, before using this leaf mixtures, dried leaves, we should partially we should decompose it. Means some 1 month, 1 month or 2 months, we should allow the leaves to decompose. The sugars present, sugars and some amount of protein. will be decomposed by bacterial action. So we should pour some water in the leaf, dry leaves, and we allow that mixture to decompose by bacterial action at least 1 month period. At this period, almost this leaf powders, dried leaf powders, lose their sugars. So when we use those mixtures, just like cocoa peat, we don't get a heat. Further decomposition will not be there in potting pots. So it won't create any problem in regular usage. So that the treatment should be there before using organic compound, organic means leaves and any other material, plant material we can use, but it should be decomposed so that it may not pose a problem when we use the high quantity. We are using at least 30% or 25% by volume. We are using in part mixture, so definitely we should take care of these things. Because why we are using cocoa peat? Cocoa peat may not decompose. It is already slightly decomposed, and it is not having much amount of sugars. Only fiber content will be more, lignin content will be more. So we don't get any problem by using cocoa peat. But it is costly. It is 5 kg around 150 rupees. So it is a highly costly affair to maintain those things. So we are replacing cocoa peat with some leaves, dried leaves, any type of dried leaves. But it should not be toxic to a plant. That leaf extract, any exudate or any other things, those things should not be toxic to plant roots. Such type of plants we can select, especially legume trees, Cicerpinidae family or any Papillionidae family, any type of legume type leaves. They will also contain some amount of nitrogen, protein, so it will add to as a fertilizer. And any type of vegetable trash, any other things, we can collect the leaves and we can dry it, and we make the size properly small so that in mixture it may not create any problem. The lesser the size, the more reactive surface, the more surface area, and the more volume makeup. If we prepare a fine quality of mixture in this organic leaves, means these leaves, we can, if you make more fine powder, and the volume increase will be more. I am telling about some mixtures. Suppose we are using these mixtures. Suppose I prepared 10 liters of soil. Uh, by adding, I have taken 10 liters of soil and 2 liters of cocoa peat, 1 liter of vermicompost, and 3 liters of leaves, partially dried leaves. So I used 16 liters of material mixture when I am preparing the mixture. But after thoroughly mixing, what happened? I poured this mixture in a container. Then again I measured the volume. Then it is I observed the volume, apparent volume means the prepared volume after mixing nearly 48 liters. Means I used only 16 liters of material, 10 liters of soil, 2 liters of cocoa peat, 1 liter of vermicompost, and 3 liters of leaf bits, partially dried leaves, small type leaves. So after preparing a mixture, thoroughly mixing these materials, when I poured this mixture in a container and measured the volume, I got 48 liters volume. So the 16 liters material brought 48 liters volume. It is made into 48 liters by preparing mixture, thorough mixing. Means when we prepare these mixtures properly, if it is mixed, looseness increases and volume is increased and smoothness is increased. So airspace will be increased, and when we put any plant, easily it will grow. The root system will be easily grown inside the potting mixture, so we'll get the advantage. So the potting mixture is when we increase the volume, that is it increases the smoothness and aeration, and it is a good character for potting mixture. So that is the advantage when we use these organic materials. It makes up the volume nearly three times. We used only 16 liters of material, but we got 48 liters. So this advantage will be there when we prepare this potting mixtures. And this organic matter, when it decomposes, it multiplies the microbial population, and in turn, they also aid in better root growth. Some nitrogen fixing bacteria will be there, phosphorus solubilizing bacteria will be there. Those also will help in growth of the plants. And simultaneously, these organic materials absorb more amount of water compared to their volume, and it will be slowly used by the plant. And in terrace garden, the water may not be dried in a fast manner. If we use pure soil, it will be dried like anything. But when we use these organic mixtures, plant materials, then it is somewhat slow compared to normal soil. So these things should be taken care of. And in terrace garden, we can use a fertilizer solution also, like using urea water, DAP water, diammonium phosphate, urea, or potassium chloride, and any type of mixtures, magnesium sulfate, calcium nitrate, calcium ammonium phosphate, calcium ammonium nitrate. Many of the chemicals we we can use it in a proper concentration. Proper concentration means we should use these minerals: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, sulfur, in a very dilute concentration. Suppose nitrogen, we can use the nitrogen 30 ppm, very low concentration, and phosphorus nearly 20 ppm, 15 to 20 ppm, potassium 100 ppm. We can use this type of solutions, fertigation solutions, to maintain the plant growth in terrace garden. And according to stage, we can change the concentration, we can change the ratio of these nutrient: nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. We can change slightly, we can change according to stage of the crop and requirement. And year long, we can get the vegetables. Especially, we can get the advantage in terrace garden when we get the advantage in gourds, cucurbits. In cucurbits, we get the advantage because it requires less soil, and it occupies more space, and gives more yield compared to uh, bendi, tomato, chilies, and requires less number of pots compared to its occupied volume. So we can take advantage of these cucurbits and any type of gourds. Generally, these cucurbits will give more yield compared to its usage, soil usage. Another thing is vegetables, leafy vegetables like palak, amaranthus, hibiscus carnabinas, many of other vegetables, leafy vegetables we can use, and regularly it maintains. But if you take leafy vegetables regularly, it maintains good health by supplying necessary minerals and vitamins at appropriate time in a appropriate amount. So for healthy life, we should maintain this type of terrace gardens, and get more happiness in our life.